Hey hombres, what is happening? Carter here. Got another knife to show you guys. I'm pretty excited about this one. It's just barely made an appearance on the scene, and it's pretty cool. I'm digging it. I like it. It is the Dendra Defender. But before I get to that, let's do a little shout out to extremeaddiction.com. Very cool place to buy from, guys. They've got the best price on these right now, and super fast shipping. Great people. They threw in a sweet playing card deck, a Maxpedition playing card deck. How sweet is that? And I know somebody else, they threw in some lube for them. So definitely a cool place to check out, buy your stuff from. Here is their address. There's no E at the end of extreme. It's just kind of like extreme. extremeaddiction.com. Got a card and a magnet, so that's cool. But here it is. This is the Dendra Defender. Not a ton of videos out on it on YouTube. In fact, there's only one out at the time of me shooting this. I'm not sure how long it'll take me to get this up. But yeah, very cool blade. So let's talk about what Dendra is. From what I understand, Dendra is a Russian company. In fact, this knife is designed by an individual named T. Antonovich. He is a Russian designer, and he's the one, he's the brainchild behind this particular design. I think he also does all the design work for Dendra. It is manufactured in Italy by Lionsteel. They also do the DPX Hest. They do what is the, oh crap, the integral folder that they do, the aluminum, and the full titanium one that they do. Oh, I can't remember what it is. You guys are, I'm gonna get 50 million comments on this video, people saying, oh, it's this. Having a brain fart right now. I own one. I can't think of the name of it. But the tie spine that they just came out with, yeah. So great company. They do a lot of really quality work, stand behind their products and things like that. So very, very cool. So manufactured in Italy by Lionsteel, designed by Dendra, in particular this individual here. We have a thick stock of D2 steel. It is a flipper design. You have a solid G10 slab on this side with a Jens Onso pattern, which, you know, it's a little played out right now, which is a shame for Mr. Onso, because, you know, people just ran with this design, and it's kind of appeared everywhere. So it's a shame that my first thought when I saw that was that it was a little dated of a scale work, but still looks nice. I mean, it's a classic pattern. Looks really good. Very well done. Cleanly done. G10 slab here, G10 backspacer. It is not integral. There is a big slab of titanium on this side, stonewash, nice and chamfered all around the edges here. You have the Roto Block. First thing I do with any knives that have a Roto Block is I just crank that down so that it won't move. I never use the Roto Block. It's a cool idea, but just not my thing. But luckily, you can just tighten the crap out of this, and it will not move on you, and you won't have any problems with it. Good pocket clip. I've carried this thing around a little bit today, and works really well. Very similar to their other pocket clips. Good carry. It is tip up, right hand carry only. Great construction on this thing. Really nice. Very smooth. Has Teflon washers, very thick Teflon washers in there. Let's take a look at the lock geometry. A lot of people have questions about it. You can see what it is. It is a radius lock face, however, it is not a super sharp radius. You can see it locks up about 40%. So it should be pretty good. You should get quite a bit of life in that lock face. It looks like it's making a lot of contact on there, so I don't see it. This is all conjecture, of course, but I don't see that lock bar wearing out particularly quickly or anything like that. Stonewash blade, nice and kind of satin stonewash, I guess you would say. D2 finish, or D2 steel, D2 finish. says Defender right there, and then up at the top here is the Dendra logo. It's kind of like a Aborigine type drawing. I'll show you a better example here in a sec of somebody grabbing a tree or a branch or something. Dual thumb studs, nice and big. Excellent jimping. One thing that I really like about this knife is the ergonomics. It is really, really nice. It feels so good in the hand. I was afraid it was going to be too thick of a handle on here, but frankly, it is perfect. The ergonomics on this thing is amazing. It's a very large blade. Well, not very large, but it's a pretty large blade. I think it's 3.75 inches on the blade length. All the specs will be down below. So it's a good sized blade, but it's actually not too heavy, mainly because of just the solid G10 with the titanium. It really kind of reminds you of the Strider, how you see a big blade with a thick stock, and then you actually pick it up, and it is not that heavy at all. And that's what this reminds me of. And yeah, the ergonomics on this thing is just outstanding. You've got a nice thumb rest right up here. You've got this really cool kind of, I don't know, just decorative scaling up there at the top on this kind of harpoon swedge type deal. Looks really cool. I like that blade shape a lot. They do another frame lock called the Tiger Jump that has carbon fiber scales and a compound grind on the blade, and then they have a couple of liner locks which look really cool too. Quite similar to this, light recurve like this has, but it's a liner lock instead of a frame lock. This comes with a tool. You can see right there, there's kind of that figure cut out holding that branch or whatever for the pivot, but it's not necessary. In fact, I don't even know why it's in there, because this takes a Torx bit just right there in the middle, standard Torx bit. So if you don't have a Torx driver, I guess you could use this, but it's really not necessary. And I've actually already done a takedown, and it looks like this, I didn't completely take it down, but it looks like the pivot on the backside is fixed into place. And I definitely, when I did take it apart and tighten it up, there was no spinning of this pivot. So I don't think you need to do anything with holding this one stationary. You should be able just to unscrew it here. So very cool. Came apart very easily. And when I first got it, the pivot was tightened a little bit much. So I loosened it up a little bit, and it did make the blade go a little off center. However, when I took it apart and put it back together, for some reason, it's perfectly centered now. I don't know how that happened, but it is dead nuts on, perfectly centered and buttery smooth. Now, as far as the flipping goes on this knife, it is not a Class A flipper, mainly because the flipper is really, really small on the back here. I mean, if you get it just right, you can do it without using any wrist, but more than likely, you're going to need to put a little bit of wrist in there if you're going to flip it open. But there's an upside to the D10 on it's great, so that's right for a flipper, but it's just this flipper is just too small. But the benefit to that is you have two fully functional thumb studs right here. And by fully functional, I mean they're not... the blade stops, so they're not bumped right up against the scale. They're really easy to get to, really easy to use, and because of this small flipper, I mean, it doesn't get in the way at all. There's plenty of knives that have a flipper where you use the thumb stud and it bangs you in the finger and you kind of got to hold it different. But you can actually use this kind of as a non-flipper knife, no problem. That flipper does not get in the way. So it's a bit of a compromise. Yeah, it doesn't flip the greatest because it has such a small flipper, but because it has such a small flipper, it allows you to kind of use it as a manual knife a little bit better. So I actually like it because it opens great as just a manual knife if you don't want to use it as a flipper, or give a little bit of wrist and it'll fly open for you. Came razor sharp, really, really sharp. I mean, I haven't seen a knife this sharp in a while out of the box. It is scary sharp, which is very impressive. Flat ground blade, Beautiful blade. Beautiful blade. All right, guys, that's it for the look of this really impressive blade. They go for about $150, so I definitely recommend picking